Welcome back to the Rich and Ted Talk Football Podcast. This is Ted, and unfortunately today, once again, we won't be joined without Rich. Promise you we're going to get him back in here soon, but as of today, it's going to be another solo episode. As for last week on our picks, neither one of us did very well. A couple of surprises and upsets, and a lot of games that just went very weird ways. For starters, I picked against my Saints. Just me being a typical Saints fan, knowing how we usually do in week one, going against a team like Tampa Bay. I honestly thought we weren't going to look too good. And on offense, we really didn't look amazing. But I'm not going to put too much stock in it. I talked a little shit, but I don't think Tampa Bay is going to be terrible like that all season. I mean, they didn't look completely terrible last week. But like I said, I could see them showing some improvement. But like I said, I know I probably upset my fellow Who Dat Nation fans and the Who Dat family. Trust me, it won't happen again. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into these week 2 picks. Up first, we got Cincinnati at Cleveland. I'm going with the Bengals in this game. Rich picking the Browns. Only reason I'm picking Cincinnati in this game is because, man, honestly, I thought Cleveland would look a lot better than they did. Now, granted, they were playing against, one of the best teams in the league. And like I said, they didn't have an all-season or a preseason, but still in all, they just look like the typical Browns, and I just can't pick them yet, It is the Bengals, who they're a rebuilding team. And that most likely they probably will lose this game, but me, I can't. Personally, I can't. I refuse to pick the Browns. Not until they show me a reason that I should. Just a couple of things from last week. Joe Burrow, they looked decent. I'm not going to say he looked trash because, again, a lot of new pieces on that team. He's a rookie coming off, one of the weirdest off seasons ever, So I say I give him another couple weeks before things start really, picking up and they start finding some rhythm together. And I can see them showing some improvement. But that's my pick for that game. Don't really have too much to say about those two teams. Like I said, the Browns and the Bengals, they're rebuilding. So that's my pick for that game. On to the next game, the New York Giants at the Chicago Bears. Rich going with the Bears in this one. And I'm going with the Giants. Now, the only reason I'm picking the Giants is because I want to give them another chance. I didn't pick them last week because I knew Pittsburgh was going to be I knew they were going to be a pretty good team. I didn't see the Giants beating the Steelers at all. And the Bears pulled an amazing comeback last week. I don't know. I don't really chalk that up to, what am I trying to say here? I guess I have to blame that on the Detroit's defense. They just seem like they forgot how to play football in the second half. And not to take anything from Trubisky, he played terrible in that first half, but he got his shit together in the second one. So, honestly, who knows what to expect from this game? I'm a believer in Daniel Jones. Every now and then he does make some plays that makes me feel like he could be a pretty good start in the league. So I'm going to give him a chance. That is a pretty tough defense for him to get a win against, but I think he can pull it off. He didn't look terrible against Pittsburgh, and they have a damn good defense too. So if he shows some improvement from last week, I can see the Giants pulling this one off. On to the next game, Rams at Philadelphia. Philly embarrassed themselves last week. Yeah, I know they riddled with injuries, but you go up by 17 against a football team, and you just proceed to just throw the lead away. Inexcusable. That's another team that I'm hesitant to pick, depending on who they play moving forward. Like I said, I know they have a lot of injuries, but again, you don't just blow a lead like that, especially to a team like Washington. Shouldn't happen. I'm going with the Rams. The Rams looked damn good against Dallas. Still had a couple of, things that I didn't like, but for the most part, I don't think Dallas is a bad team. So that game pretty much went how I expected it to go. I didn't think any team was drastically better than the other. Dallas actually should have won that game. I'll talk more about that when I get to the next game. But Rich sticking with the Eagles. I understand why we in here we like the Eagles because they usually have that underdog mentality and they usually thrive off that. I don't see that working out for them this season. So once again, we both picked different in the first 3 games. Let's move on to Dallas versus the Falcons. I picked the Falcons last week. I honestly thought the Falcons would show a lot more improvement coming into this season. The Falcons still look like they have all the same issues they had just last season. That defense, sometimes, they show some flashes here and there. But I don't know, man. Matt Ryan has been showing some serious issues lately. Staring down receivers, some of the throws he make. I don't understand it. Sometimes he looks amazing and sometimes he looks completely clueless. This is another game that I feel like can go either way, but me and Rich both, we're going with Dallas. I don't think either one of us believes in Atlanta anymore. And like I said, I try not to go off too much from week 1 because like I said, it's a weird season. But Atlanta's still showing the same issues they've been having. And unless they can clean that shit up fast, which I don't see happening because it's the same issues they had the whole last season. I don't know, man. But that's our pick on that one. Carolina at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay again. Me and Rich both picking Tampa Bay this week. Something we both did last week. Sorry again, Saints fans. I gave you my reason. This week I'm picking the Bucks to win because Carolina, I think they're in a stage to where they are somewhat rebuilding. That defense is gonna take a while for them to recover, losing some of the pieces that they lost. Losing Kuechly was huge, and even though I don't look at Tampa Bay as a running team, I'm pretty sure they're gonna try to switch it up because you can run all over Carolina's defense. They're not stopping anything. So, in that secondary is not gonna be able to slow down Mike Evans and all the weapons that Brady has. As for the defenses, I just spoke about Carolina's. Tampa Bay's defense isn't horrible. They have a damn good front 7. That secondary is Swiss cheese, in my opinion. Now, I will say they look a little better than last season, but still in all, that secondary is terrible. But it's nothing bad I can really say about that front 7. So all they really have to deal with is McCaffrey. So if they can slow McCaffrey down, I don't see this even being a close game. I see Tampa Bay winning this game by, a pretty large margin. So that's our pick for that one. Up next, San Francisco at the New York Jets. We both picking San Francisco. I mean, what really needs to be said about that one? Moving on from there, Denver at Pittsburgh. A game that I probably would have picked Denver for if Pittsburgh did not look the way they looked in week 1. Not saying they look perfect, but Pittsburgh's defense looked extremely well. And I can see that some of the issues that Denver ran into with the Titans, I can see them running into those same issues and some going against Pittsburgh. I do like Drew Lock, and that Denver's defense looked a lot better than I was expecting them to look. But this is another game I feel like it's going to be closer than people are going to be expecting. Like, I know Big Ben looked really good last week. Juju's back to form. But I don't think Denver's going to be a pushover at all. The loss last week, again, I expect them to get better, They were missing Sutton, and I don't know if Sutton's missing the whole season. Something I should know, so I apologize for that. But I could just see once he comes back, if he's coming back, they're going to be even more of a problem. So I just don't see them this week. I don't see them beating Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, to me, looks like one of the top teams in the league this year. So that's our pick. We both going with Pittsburgh in this game. Jacksonville versus Tennessee. Jacksonville pulled a great comeback last week, and that was all Minshew. the guy's a fighter. I have to give him that because Jacksonville, I still feel like they are one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the league. They're not. That's the Jets, but they probably like right there. They don't have a lot of talent, but the fight in this team, I really liked it. You know, they not gonna be. I don't think they're gonna be pushovers as much as I expected them to be at first, because Minshew just seems like he's gonna be one of those quarterbacks that's not gonna give up. He's gonna keep pushing. He's gonna keep fighting for it. So, even though they don't have a lot of talent, I like the fight they showed last week. Don't think it's gonna be enough to beat Tennessee. Tannehill looked pretty damn good last week. Derrick Henry didn't do too much. He had 100 yards on the ground, but I mean, Derrick Henry could do that in his sleep. And that defense still looked pretty good on the Tennessee side. I don't see Jacksonville overcoming that. So we both going with Tennessee this week. Detroit versus Green Bay. Oh, Detroit. Rich sticking with his Lions, and I respect him for it. But after the way they blew the lead last week, I refused to pick them, especially going up against Green Bay, who went on a fucking absolute terror against Minnesota last week. Aaron Rodgers seemed like he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder. I figured that, they drafted a quarterback in the first round, and I mean, the guy's he's still a baller, So if he comes out playing like that next week, I honestly don't see Detroit even being close, in all honesty. But I've been wrong before. But that's pretty much all I have to say on that one. Buffalo at Miami. We both going with Buffalo for obvious reasons. Fitzpatrick throwing picks all over the place. It's not going to get any better playing against Buffalo's defense. I will say Josh Allen was fumbling all over the fucking place last week. I don't know what his issue was. But I'm expecting him to clean that up this week. Because like we all know, with Fitzpatrick, he's usually trash, but he will surprise you sometime. And if Allen's fumbling and shit like that, and Fitzpatrick just decides to play ball this week, I still think the Dolphins gonna lose, but might be a little closer than they might want it to, and could potentially blow a fucking game. So hopefully he cleans that up, because if you look at his stats, you're like, oh, Josh Allen played an amazing game, not knowing that he just was fumbling like the whole fucking game. It was ridiculous. But I still like Buffalo. I still think they're one of the best teams in the league also. But hopefully they clean that up. Real sloppy play from Allen. But we both going Buffalo this week. Minnesota at Indianapolis. The Colts. Fuck. Just, how do you lose to Jacksonville like that, man? Phillip Rivers still has the same problems of throwing picks in the worst times. And Indy just didn't look as good as I was expecting to look with Rivers, man. Once again, like I keep saying, it was only week 1 with a weird off season. Maybe they look a little better, but I'm expecting Minnesota to bounce back this week. So, because I highly doubt that Minnesota's going to look that bad all season. Kirk Cousins played like absolute garbage against the Packers. And that defense that I thought would be one of, if not the best defense in the league, looked like shit too. And they didn't even have that many receivers to guard besides, Devontae Adams. Everybody else, I'm not saying they scrubs, but with a defense like that, you would expect them to at least keep them contained. They didn't do a good job at that at all. And I don't think they're going to have this problem with Indianapolis, but Rich is going with the Colts in this game because I could see why he would want to pick the Vikings, but I'm expecting them to have a bounce back game this week. So that's our picks on that one. Washington and Arizona, the football team had a great comeback last week. That front seven is disgusting. I don't know if that's going to be like that the whole season, but I've been telling people for a while, Washington has been building silently a pretty damn good front seven. And it showed in week 1. Now, again, Philly's offensive line is injured to shit. They just have some paper guys, some mail guys, just some random guys from out, who would have been in the stands out there on the offensive line. So maybe this pass rush doesn't look that good moving forward, but I still think it's pretty decent. So big up to those guys. But Arizona just looked pretty damn good. They had pretty much, in my opinion, the upset of the week, because I was not expecting them to beat San Francisco at all. And I know San Francisco are missing some pieces. They have a couple injuries, but still, they look good. I can't. I'm not gonna take anything away from them. I wasn't expecting that. Kyler Murray and D Hop worked immediately, and I don't see Washington being able to stop that at all. And I mean, they didn't even air it out the way I'm expecting Arizona to do this season on offense. So Washington still has that problem of that offense. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. They pulled out some stuff last week, but playing somebody that could be like kind of as fast paced as Arizona and could probably score kind of quick with D Hop, I just don't see them beating Arizona. Well, we both going with the Cardinals this week. Don't let us down, Arizona, man. Moving on, Baltimore at Houston. This is the game I want to recap the most, I think. Houston doesn't look good at all to me, man. And I've shitted on Bill O'Brien countless times since we started this show. And this guy, he's wasting Watson's, talent. I want to give credit to David Johnson because I don't want to just make it seem like Watson's on the team of scrubs. But David Johnson did look a lot better than I was expecting. He did have somewhat of an impact in the game. They were playing Kansas City, who I didn't expect them to beat in the first place, but they just looked terrible. You trade away D Hop, and the whole time you watch that game, what's going through your mind? Damn, you could really tell Houston is missing D Hop. The receivers did nothing. Will Fuller caught a lot of passes. And, I mean, even he dropped a shit ton of passes, too. But the rest of those guys did pretty much nothing, And Kansas City's secondary is decent, but it's not like, some shutdown corners and safeties on that team. I mean, they do have some dogs in that secondary. Not trying to shit on them or nothing, but, I mean, you would expect to have some things open. And that offensive line of Houston is just, man, they look terrible. Like, Watson was running for his fucking life. It just shows you why he needed his go-to guy. You got rid of him for a running back that you don't know how he's going to produce the rest of the season. Like I said, he looked decent, but you can't run the ball all the time, especially playing somebody like Kansas City. So, yeah, I think Houston's going to be pretty bad this season. The only reason I don't want to say they're going to win under 9 games is because Watson. I think he's good enough to win you at least 9, 10 games on his own. I just don't see that being the case, and Bill O'Brien should have been fired forever ago. But I feel like this is going to be the season where they realize you stick with this guy this long, it's going to bite you in the ass this year. So, with that being said, I know that was kind of long-winded. We both picking Baltimore because they just picked right back up where they left off, look like. Lamar Jackson looks like he's gotten even better with his passing accuracy. And the guy's a problem if he can't throw the ball and he get to take off. What you gonna do? And Houston's defense isn't stopping anything. So I don't think Houston stands a chance against Baltimore. So we both going with the Ravens. Fuck Bill O'Brien. Moving on from there. Kansas City at the Chargers. The Chargers had zero offense. I mean, that whole game with them in Cincinnati last week was pretty much no offense. And the Chiefs are all offense. I mean, the Chargers defense not stopping shit on Kansas City. I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say. The Chargers not going to be able to outscore the Chiefs. I know this supposedly, I know this is a rivalry, it's a divisional game. I don't think they stand a chance. So we both picking the Chiefs in that game. Not too much to say about that one. New England at Seattle. Russell Wilson put on a clinic last week. an absolute clinic, man. And we all know Russell Wilson is a dog. But the way he shitted on Atlanta last week was, I'll say, almost orgasmic to watch. The dude really only threw like 3 incomplete passes, and there was a point in the game where he didn't throw any incomplete. He was perfect. He pretty much played perfect all game. And he does have a tougher, a more tough opponent, and a tougher defense to play this week in New England. But I mean, I think I have to go with Russ. Me and Rich, we're going with Russ this week, man. Not to take anything from New England. Cam Newton played ball last week, but that offense did struggle against a somewhat weak Miami defense, and he doesn't have any weapons. Not only did Seattle's offense look pretty good last week, that defense with Jamal Adams, they won their shit. That defense looked pretty damn good, which was something that Seattle's been struggling with. I don't see that defense being that bad this year. And well, I'll get to it when I get to the end of the show, because we do have an announcement to make. But yeah, just the fact that Cam doesn't really have any weapons to go to, and I think Seattle is going to be a team that's going to have to outscore for the most part this year, especially if Russ keeps playing the way that he played in week 1. So we both going with Seattle. But this is a game that I wouldn't be shocked if Cam, have one of those takeover games and shock everybody. But I'm not willing to make that prediction. So yeah, we going with the Seahawks this week. And last but certainly not least, Monday Night Football, first game in Las Vegas. The Saints versus the Raiders. Just a few things about the Saints. That defense looks pretty damn good. We already knew the Saints had a good defense, but with the additions that they made, they look really good. They look like an elite defense. That offense, though, I kind of want to chalk this up to bad play calling, and that's one issue I've been having with Sean Payton. That play calling has been fucking terrible. I really wish that he would get his head out of his ass sometimes with some of the play calls he make, because that's not cutting it. I know it was week 1. You probably want to keep things safe, but even still, he wasn't keeping shit very safe at all. You keep leaving Kamara on passes way behind the line when it's like 3 defenders waiting on him. What's the point of doing that? Especially when it's like third and short situations. I don't know. But the Saints, they pulled out a good win last week against Tampa Bay. They still look, like contenders. They still look solid. But I do hope that they show some improvement on that offense. But we don't know how that's going to go, because Michael Thomas is injured and he's expected to miss a few weeks. I don't know how to feel about that, but I still don't think Las Vegas has enough to beat the Saints. Last week, Vegas was pretty much all Josh Jacobs. The Saints had one of the best rushing defenses in the league. Derek Carr is not about to throw all over the Saints defense the way he did to the Panthers. That's not happening. I honestly don't see this being that close of a game. I think the Saints are going to win this pretty convincingly. I'm expecting them to put up 30 points again. And I'm only expecting the Raiders to score about maybe 17 points. Because I used to really like Derek Carr. I just don't believe in him the way I used to. And I think that team runs through Josh Jacobs, and the fact that you can't really run on the Saints like that, they're going to really struggle on offense. And since they're going to struggle so much on offense, that's only leaving up more room for the Saints to warm up and hold on to the ball, go on those long drives, and pretty much keep the game out of reach. So, and Rich is picking the Saints this week too. As much as I know it probably hurt him to do, it would kind of been crazy to pick the Raiders against the Saints, especially the way that both teams looked last week. So with that, that's our picks for week 2. Again, wish Rich would have been able to be here again, but like I said, we're going to get him back soon. The episode's been pretty short because it's just me. I don't have someone to, discuss some of these things with. But we're going to be getting that back on track soon. But I do have an announcement. We do plan on doing like a separate show in the near future. We're going to be doing like our recaps, pretty much a post game show. We just have to get our scheduling right, but that's something that we plan on having coming probably within the next week or two. We also have a power ranking video coming up. We didn't want to do one following the week 1 games because, like I said, it's kind of hard to gauge where teams are. Except the Jets, they are the worst team in the league. I don't care what anybody has to say. But besides that, it's kind of hard to gauge pretty much any team. I'm not going to say any team. A lot of them you can kind of tell where they're going to stand this year. But it's kind of hard to gauge those teams that they kind of look like, they could be better, but they just out of sync right now because, like I said, the lack of an offseason. So that's something that we have coming up in the near future. But that's something we're going to keep you guys updated with, like I said, on social media. We're trying to get more active on there. So if you guys are listening to the show and you want to know, send us in some advice, anything you would like us to talk about, any questions, just follow us up on the social medias and we'll get back with you guys. We're trying to really trying to make an effort to get back active in this thing. Like I said, after our long break, we were kind of unsure of how exactly we want to bring the show back and how to make some more improvements. So we've been kind of working on that in the midst of trying to get our schedule back together where me and him could get, back on this thing and get it out in a timely manner. So that's pretty much all I got. So if you guys could, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, let us know down below, or over on Twitter and Instagram what you think about it, and let us know your picks. Well, with that, that's episode 10. I'm Ted, once again without my nigga Rich, but he'll be back soon.